Welcome to the Consulting Leaders Podcast, where we talk about the business of consulting. Whether you're looking to grow your practice or learn from the stories of leaders in consulting, you're in the right place. I'm your host, Guillaume Jouvencel, ex-PwC and co-founder of GHA Marketing. Join me as I interview the best consultants in their niche. Let's get on with the show. Karen, I think you're the very first person I interview from the world of retail, food, and FMCG. So that's going to be a fascinating one. Tell me, how did you get there, and what made you end up consulting and advising in this fantastic world of FMCG?
So long story short, I was born into retail. My father worked in a department store. So at 5, I was there doing little catwalk shows for the children's wear department. I went on to study retail marketing at uni, and then spent the next, probably 15 years working for Tesco and Boots, major retailers in the UK. And then left, across the table, went into sales, selling back at them, pretty much always food, ready meals, sandwiches, turkeys, Christmas puddings, which quite a range of products. And then about 11 years ago, I was planning to move to the south of France, and the company I was working for at the time, which was a sushi company, went, you can't do it from there. So I thought, what else can I do? So I decided to pivot into taking all the knowledge that I had from both sides of the table, buying and selling, and set up as a consultant.
That all makes a lot of sense to me, and whatever leads one person to the south of France is a good reason for me anyways. So
it's good. It's a lot safer and warmer.
It is. So people are shocked when I tell them that. So Montpellier, and not too far from where you're living as well, is 300 days of sun a year. And we still get the 4 seasons. It's like a very, very nice place to live indeed. But as you said, not very flourishing in terms of business opportunities. So it's an arbitrage. So tell us a bit more about what you do now and what problem you solve exactly.
So I work with food companies, often challenger brands or companies that are coming from overseas and wanting to launch into the UK. I specialize in retailer brands, so I don't really work in food service. That's not my area of expertise. It's definitely helping FMCG into retail. And the key problem for most of my clients is actually knowing how to find the buyer, how to craft the selling story, and how to get it over the line. And then some of the other work that I do, I've just finished a turnaround actually with a sushi company again, and we have looked very much at how to get or revitalize their business. So that's involved looking at the category, how to generate more sales for them, more retail sales, and then how to sell that into the retailer, because it's all very well sitting there and going, I think you should have all these lovely sushi things, but if you can't actually sell the proposition, then it's never going to happen. So that's really the pain, is understanding what buyers are really looking for and how to adapt the offer to each retail customer. And I've actually written a couple of books. My second book, Buyerology, was exactly about this subject. It's entitled Buyerology, obviously, but Know Your Buyer, Sell More and Sell Better. And the whole point of that was to think about, well, how do you actually understand your consumer and your customer so that you can actually make a better sales proposition? And that's kind of relevant probably to all of your listeners, whether they're in FMCG or not. It's the same principle.
No, 100%. What do you have with sushis? Why does it seem that you're spending a lot of time in there?
I don't actually like sushi very much. So that's
the irony.
that's the irony of it. So I mean, it's an interesting way of how do you get business, the story. So I worked for the sushi company for they're called Ichiban UK, and they supply Tesco and Boots to big retailers, coincidentally the ones I started with as a buyer, and it is coincidental. And I worked for them as a commercial director for the 3 years, and then they've gone on their way, and I've come back and went back in to turn it around. But that second piece actually came from one of the people that I worked with 10 years ago. He remembered me, and when they were looking for somebody to help with the turnaround, he came over and said, would you be interested to come back and have a look at it again? So it's very interesting actually to look at something after 10 years and see where it's gone wrong, and where it's lost its way, how the market's changed so much. But yes, certainly the first time round we did go to Japan, and we went to Tokyo, and we took Tesco's round, and yeah, sushi's okay, but I don't really like anything raw. So I don't really like raw fish. I don't like tartare in where I live in the south of France. They're awful partial to.
It is.
And I don't really like carpaccio either. So
okay. Well, there are plenty of other fantastic food to eat in the south.
There are. Exactly. That's fine.
So, who do you work with? Because you mentioned some big names that obviously everybody will be able to, understand and picture. Some other names that, I don't know. Doesn't mean that it's not big. But tell us a bit more about who's your ideal clients, who is it that you're helping, and who makes the decision of working with Karen Green?
So it depends.
Tell me more.
a lot of my actual clients are smaller businesses, so they're challenger brands, so they're less well known. They come through a number of channels. So I was UK sales advisor for United Nations International Trade Center for 3 years. So with them, we were looking at bringing companies in from places like Eswatini, Senegal, the Caribbean, chocolate, all sorts of different products. Yeah. So within something like that, that's an application process. But again, that came from a referral. I think referral seems to be the way I get business in. The Ichiban process, the decision was the CEO of the business. They brought in turnaround specialists. So generally it's either, and then I suppose the third one is I do work with embassies and trade associations who want to bring their clients in. So they're the key decision makers on something like that. So it's a variety, to be honest. It's quite diverse.
But that's interesting because when you talk about CEOs, embassies, trade associations, it's a complete different ICP. How do you position your marketing, your messaging, your brand so that the right people are attracted to you? The reason I'm asking this is there is an overwhelming amount of people making noise online right now. So the way buyers, and I guess that's somewhere you're an expert in as well, the way buyers actually buy is they find someone they can relate to. They buy from people. They buy from people who have showcased authority, subject matter expertise, and seem to be helping and talking to people like them. When you have so many different, and a CEO versus an embassy is two different worlds. So how do you strategize a proper marketing mix that allows you to get into the room with the right people when you have such different ICPs?
It's a really interesting question. I'm glad you've asked because it's something I've been working on very recently. So the Ichiban project was actually a 9-month, pretty much full-time project. I came out and went, I haven't done any marketing for 9 months, and I've been working with a chap, Stephen Morris, and he said, I post on LinkedIn 2, 3, 4 times a week. I've got coming up to 11,000 followers. I have quite a lot of traction. But I wasn't doing any, it was a bit vague. So we've really honed it down into UK grocery expert. So if you have that perception that I really understand the UK market from a commercial point of view, then it gives people something tangible. And this is pretty hot off the press, because I have literally only just completed the revamp, and it's not high tech. I've done it myself. It's on GoDaddy, so it's a very simple website.
Yeah.
But within the last 3 days, I've had 4 inquiries, which
Now that's interesting.
is staggering, actually. It's really staggering.
People were waiting for you, Karen.
They were waiting. And I think the point is that what we were discussing was, you can do a lot of marketing, but if you don't give somebody something to buy, then they know you, they know me. If I go to an exhibition, they go, "Hi, we see you on LinkedIn, love what you post." But if you're not giving them anything to buy, they just love me, but they don't buy anything from me. So that's what I've been working on, is to give things to people to buy. So the embassies, I've got a very specific campaign that I'm working with them. I do speak a lot, and I think this is, for me, one of my more controversial issues. When I started this 10 years ago, I used to do things for free. So I talk at exhibitions, and that was a really good way of raising my profile.
Yeah.
I've tried to pivot away from doing it for free and getting paid, but that some of my best sources of people and leads is still coming from the shows. So I still speak at shows for free. I don't know. I don't like to use the word free. I'm sure we could wrap it up in a much better marketing word.
No, so look, that's so super interesting that you'd stop on this one, because so I talk to a lot of B2B coaches and consultants. Some of them do indeed public speaking gigs, speaking engagements. And I mean, if you get an opportunity for free, but also free for the conference or whatever the conference is hosting you, the speaking event whatsoever, to talk to dozens, if not hundreds of potential clients in a room, I mean, this is where the ROI is. I think there is nothing wrong with that. Now, something that I know some of our clients do, which is interesting, the ones who can get paid or start a conversation around getting paid and see that it's not going to go anywhere, is like, look, let me waive my speaking fee, which is usually that much. You can put whatever you want here, but don't make it like unrealistic, obviously. It's like just cover cost of accommodation and travel. And in exchange, you let me send one email to the whole list of people attending my session.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, you have super goodwill from the conference organizers. You have access to the leads, and you have their contact details. It's not now just them coming to you. It's also like, hey, you saw me at this. If you liked it, here is something else that you like. If you want more, just reach out to me. Yeah. This murders.
It's a really good model, and I'm working that with the International Food Expo, which is pretty much my target audience. I'm an ambassador for them, so I post about their business. I did a talk to all the embassies on their behalf at Fortnum and Mason, which is, if you've not been, it's a lovely place to have afternoon tea in London. And we had about 50 of them turn up. And then, yes, nice. I had the list, and that's where some of my inquiries have come from recently, because I wrote out to the list, and I'll probably write out once or twice more. I don't want to sweat it too much, and then the other thing that they do, although we're still just about to agree that, is they give me a stand. And that again has a value of about 3,000. So when you start to add all that up, I'm not speaking for free at all. I'm speaking for quite a lot of value. And I think you're absolutely right. How can you add value to it? Because if that's your target audience, which is for me, it's perfect.
Yeah. And so I love this. And to wrap this up, I think that could be super valuable for the audience. The day you're starting to have more speaking engagements, invitations than you can handle, this is where you get paid. And it's like, look, I would love to do it, as per the agreement that we've had over the last few years. But look, I have this other one, and this other one, and this other one, this other city, this other city. I won't be able to make them all. What can you do? And then you can start negotiating pricing. I think the way you're doing it, Karen, is absolutely perfect. Like that does work well. What else are you, so whilst we're on the topic of marketing, what else are you doing to get the attention of the embassies, the CEOs, the trade associations, like all those different people? What else is in there?
So other things that are in there is taking another step. So I'm just talking to another organization about presenting to their members. We've been talking about ways of doing that. I have reached out to a number of different referrals. I'm not great at referrals, to be honest, but that's probably the next thing that's on my list. And then LinkedIn. I mean, I know LinkedIn has become less productive for people over the last couple of years, but when I finished, was it when I finished at Chaban? Yeah, when I finished at Chaban earlier this year, I wrote a post about what we'd achieved and the successes. And a guy reached out to me who I'd worked with before and said, "Oh, I've got a piece of work I think you'd be perfect for." So LinkedIn does still work. And I've been reading quite a lot. I don't know if you've seen it. There's a lot of controversy about whether LinkedIn is showing women or not, and whether it's cutting down its reach. And then I've read another piece which says, well, it's cutting down its reach, but it's going to the right people. And if you're very crystal clear on who the right people are, then they will send your posts into the inboxes or the feeds of the right people. I don't know whether that's true or not, but I certainly would say the posts that have, I mean, I've been getting some seriously good impressions for my size. So, 20, 30, 50,000 impressions on posts, but not getting the approaches. Now I've actually started to put out there the asks. I'm getting a lot less impressions. This week I know it's going to be a lot lower, but then I've got 3 people who've put meetings in the diary for consultations. So is it ego metrics we're after, or is it sales?
So, okay, another thing I need to double down on here, because this is so important, Karen. I think, especially when B2B coaches and consultants start making content, they get rewarded, and that's normal. We're human. We all get rewarded when we see big numbers. And it is very dangerous to fall into the vanity metrics spiral, which is just like, oh, I got 100 likes, I got 2 reposts, I got 60 comments, I got like 50,000 impressions, which in a sense is great. But if it's 50,000 impressions of people that you couldn't care less and who couldn't care less about your services neither, there is no point. So when you mentioned LinkedIn has become less productive for people, I think there are multiple factors to this, and I'm far from being a LinkedIn expert. But what I've seen from our clients and what we do is, anybody is an expert now because of ChatGPT. So it's very easy to put out content that, in a sense, is valuable but sounds very robotic, which is what everybody puts out there. And with automations, it's very easy to make a lot of noise. So now you need to stand out with client stories, for instance, which it doesn't surprise me that you got someone to reach out because, hey, here is something that I actually did and that helped someone like you. Do you want it? And simple as that. I think when you put content out there that is uniquely yours because it talks about your journey and what you've done, AI can't replicate that. Well, people can lie, of course, but we will see it. This is what converts. So that's the perfect strategy, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think you're right. Personalization of the stuff that you can get from ChatGPT, I think is the solution, and that I think,
for instance,
works well.
100%. Tell us more about your podcast, Karen.
So my podcast is Friday Accelerator, and I came upon the name thinking about how most people plan on a Monday, because you get into work if you have that kind of lifestyle, and you sit there and you say, what am I going to do for this week? And we were thinking about, well, actually, would it be better to do it on a Friday? So you're less stressed on a Friday, you're starting, a lot of people work from home on a Friday, there's more time to just take stock of what you've been doing, review the last week, and actually plan forward. And it then also, there's a lot of psychology around writing things down. So you write it down on a Friday, then that frees up your weekend. What's interesting is we've recorded 5 podcasts. We've put 2 out and we've got 3 more to go out. And each of these people either work weekends, which is not helpful because I'm interviewing. So the podcast interviews food founders mostly, who maybe I've worked with in the past and have gone on to do great things, or all who've got decent sized challenger brands. So they're either working weekends or they don't necessarily plan, which is another thing. So it's been really interesting. And I think from that, there needs to be, I don't know whether it's another book, but there's certainly some key learnings for me. And it may well pivot. We'll keep the Friday Accelerator because I quite like the name, and I've trademarked it. And I think it's a really good idea, but it is all around how do you accelerate growth, and how do you accelerate growth through better planning? And then the overlay on top of that, which I haven't really done super loads with, is looking at personality. So if you go back to buyerology, it talks about getting to know your buyer. And we all obviously have different personality types based on a disc profile. But actually, from a planning point of view and a goal setting, if you look at your personality type, how you goal set, or the success of your goal setting will depend on your personality. So if I coach you I think you're a red personality looking at your disc profile on LinkedIn, but I don't know, you might not be, but that's what came out. So you're going to be very goal orientated. You're going to be quite competitive. You're going to want to get stuff done. You're going to want to work at pace. So the goals that you would want, if I was going to coach you as a business leader, would be very different to somebody who was maybe more more of a C personality, who's much more detail orientated, who wants to get things done with precision. And oh, that's you, is it? I don't think
so. It's been a while since I didn't take that test, so I guess people change. Last time I did it, it was more leaning towards the red. Yeah, I think so. Is yellow like the very extroverted, like high energy thing? So it was a bit of a mix of the two.
Yeah, it would be. I would suspect it's a bit of both. So successful salespeople tend to have the red, which is the go get it, and then the yellow to build the relationships. So the thought of detail for me kills me.
But wait, so that's interesting. You based yourself on my LinkedIn profile to see that, so you can see that from someone's LinkedIn profile, or do you have like a software that checks my LinkedIn profile and be like how did you come up with that conclusion?
So I use something called Humantics AI, and it's just a Chrome extension. You stick it on there. It's the best tool ever. It's worth, go and have a look at it. And now it's got a lot better, actually. I've been using it for 2 or 3 years, and it does a summary of who you are. It tells me your personality, and then it tells me how to sell to you.
This is frightening.
It is frightening.
It's insane.
I would say it's probably about 85% successful. So if I'm going to go and talk to somebody, I will always profile them and have a look and have a think and think, okay, that makes sense.
Interesting.
Right. But generally, yeah, it's pretty good. And the summaries are really good as well. So it's certainly my top tip, Humantics.ai.
I'm taking notes. Like this could be but this could be super useful. This could be super useful. And that's the perfect transition, Karen. Talk to me about sales. Talk to me about selling to an embassy. Talk to me about selling to trade associations. How do you take those initial conversations, whether they come from LinkedIn, your podcast, your new website, speaking engagements? How do you move them into a sales conversation powered by Humantic. We are not sponsored, by the way, but here you go, guys. If you write a check and send it to us, let us know. And with a SOW, letter of engagement, we rock and roll. What does sales motion look like for you?
So in my book Biology, I created a 3x3 matrix model, and we don't have time to go through the details, but the three key pillars are: know the buyer as a person, know the company, and then think about the interaction between the person and the company. And I think we're all really pretty good at looking at the company. So if you're going to go and talk to a new business, you'll have a look at the company, you'll look at their website, you'll look at their feeds, you'll probably run a chat GPT thingamajig. Humantix has a good one. I don't have, by the way, I'm not an affiliate. Although I do claim that I should be an affiliate. So that's the first chunk, and it's thinking about what are their pain points, what's their position, what's the resources. One of my biggest challenges has been with challenger brands, they don't have enough money for consultancy. So thinking about that. So that's that side. The left-hand side around know the buyer is all about the human being, and that's where analyzing their personality is great, because when you understand the person you're selling to, then you can adapt it. So again, if you are a red personality like you're going to want to get to the point pretty quickly. You want to go at pace. You want to know how is what I'm selling you going to help you compete better or sell better or do whatever it is you do better in the future. And you need to adapt that to each of the different personalities. And then the key, the bit that I think people miss in sales, because there is a lot around building rapport and adaptive selling, is what does that person actually want from the business that they're in? And that's the bit that I think's quite interesting. A lot of my clients, certainly in the early years, were very much founders. So it was thinking about, well, what are they trying to do? Is it a legacy brand? Is it an exit strategy? Do they want to sell it out to a bigger company, or do they just want a lifestyle business? But if you're working with corporates, you're working with trade embassies, it's, well, what does that person want? And with buyers within grocery retailers, who obviously I specialize in selling into or helping people sell into, are they looking for promotion? Have they been there a long time? There's quite, what are you likely to add to the party? So that's the missing piece of the puzzle. So if you've got all three of those, you can then think about, how do you adapt your sales story? And that's really the part about sell more and sell better. The sell better part is actually so that you're really adapting your sales strategy. And we've all been on calls, I haven't done one for quite a while, where someone's selling something and they're employing somebody who's just going to sell it to you, and they go through and they've got their sales pitch and they've got their USPs, but it's not adaptive. And that's the key piece for me.
I like a lot this emphasis on pace. I think it's so important. I like tonality when it comes to sales, but pace is like inside and outside the sales call as well, by the way. Like having the right pace in the sales motion framework is super important. Back to the Humantic AI, I think is the name of it. Knowing who you're talking to, how they make decision, and having the right pace based on them is going to make a world of difference. So words to live by, Karen. I like it a lot.
Thank you.
Because you seem, I mean, obviously you're a veteran in the space, you know what you're doing. How do you, okay, let me frame this one differently. When I was a consultant myself at PwC, where I did that DISC assessment.
Of course.
The partner who I was working with once told me, Guillaume, there are two types of consultants. There are the hunters and there are the farmers. And he was like, either are perfectly fine, by the way. It's not good or bad. It's just like what you'd rather go for. And he was like, I'm a hunter. I love the smell of fresh blood in the morning. I love to go after new business. That's my jam. But the partners bring the most money in are the farmers, the ones who are able to take that initial engagement over deliver, transform it into a multi-layered, multi-year project, feeding other teams from the firm. Those are the ones who grow the fastest. How do you farm, Karen?
How do I farm? Do I farm? I would say I'm probably 50-50. I've got a client I've been working with for 8 years, 9 years,
Okay, that's
still
solid.
going. And then I've got people who drop in and drop out. And I think with a lot of companies, the fresh blood is important, and it probably is of interest to me. And it's probably why I do what I do, because I want to go in, solve a problem, off you go. And one of the interesting things, and I mentioned this earlier with the podcast and the people that we've been talking to, people like Fit Bakes by Ruby, small challenger brands in the UK that have done really well. You know, I worked with them 2, 3, 4 years ago, and it's taken them that long to get to this position. And once they've had that initial consult and they've been through the process, they don't really need it again. And one of the difficulties, and again, I have thought a lot about this, is, well, how do you create longevity? You know, is it something like being an NED and an advisor on a board, which is what I ended up doing with By Ruby, or is it something that you just go, well, actually, I'm in, I solve it, and let you get on with it, and off you go? It is a really interesting question. So I would say probably more hunter than farmer, because it's new things. I like newness.
I've not used Humantic on your LinkedIn profile, but I'm gonna guess somewhere around reddish, yellowish, something like this. Karen, am I in the right?
Yeah, reddish, yellowish. Yeah, my profile actually on LinkedIn is red.
Okay,
but there is definitely some yellow in there.
So something that you mentioned here, though, that is I think important to double down on as well for B2B coaches and consultants listening to us. Of course, you want to build a business where you have recurring business. Like if you can lock in a client, keep on bringing value, right? Because that's only going to work if the client keeps on getting value out of paying you, obviously. Like that's gold. That's great. If you can do that, go for it. I think depending on the industry and the nature of the service, it's worth exploring reoccurring business, meaning you're not going to be able to say, okay, as of now, for the next 3 years, I'm going to have a monthly bill and like we work together for the next 3 years. But instead, hey, all good for now. But if you implement the things and you do everything we said you are going to do, in 6 months, this is where you're going to be, and you're going to need another batch of help. And now you're not getting that monthly recurring business, but the same person comes back year after year after year because there are new point in their business or new point in the whatever department that you're helping that is worth hiring someone externally again. And it's worth looking into this because it's a bit more uncertain in the sense of like it's not a locked-in contract, but could be very profitable depending on the framework of the service. Where curveball for you, Karen.
Okay.
Where would you say your biggest challenge is right now? What's the thing that you're working on or need to work on to take the whole business to the next level? If that's even a goal, by the way, because sometimes people are just like, I'm fine. What would that be for you?
To be honest, at the moment, the biggest challenge is time. Because I'm in Italy at the moment, studying a master's in world food. So I am having to balance my time. It's certainly more time hungry than I was anticipating. It's a full-time in-person course, but I was kind of like, it's academia, it won't be that hard. It's pretty full on. So I'm literally going to be running from this. I have to be back at uni on the top of the hour to attend. It's a cooking class, so it's not super academic, but
important as well, though.
It's very important. So it is quite full on. So time is important. So the biggest challenge, I think, is getting valuable leads. I have a bad habit of underpricing myself. And I think for the time that I have available, it has to work really hard. So whilst I'm very happy and I'm doing a couple of pro bono things for people, the majority of my time has to have a good return on the investment, because that's the challenge.
Said every consultant ever, I think.
He's not doing it properly. He's not doing it like Daniel Priestley said, and had 4 or 5 people working for them, and therefore they're not selling time.
That is true. Now, at some point, you need to make a choice, right? Walking or learning to cook amazing Italian pasta. I mean, at some point, you have to decide. Exactly. And for me, it's worth a discussion. But that makes a lot of sense. Karen, thank you so much for coming on Consulting Leaders. If people want to find out more about you, see what you do, where should they go?
Head to me on LinkedIn. I am the Karen Green on LinkedIn. Or come onto my website, biorology.co.uk, book a call, come and see me, and we can have a chat, see what I can help you with.
I love the find me on LinkedIn. It's the Karen Green. Love that. We'll put all of the links in the description.
All Karen Greens.
Karen, thank you so much for coming on Consulting Leaders.
Thank you. Thank you for your time.
Thanks for joining us on this episode of the Consulting Leaders Podcast. We hope you learned valuable lessons on how to grow your practice and take your business to the next level. Make sure to subscribe and leave us a review wherever you're listening to this show so you never miss an episode. To apply and be a guest on the show, click the link in the description. See you next time.